My wife's girls' trip photos. Had a guy's reflection in her sunglasses. CSI would be proud of my Zoom skills. I wasn't proud of our marriage. The papers were filed before she even landed. Sup Reddit. My wife went on a girls' trip to Miami. Sent me cute photos the whole time. Problem was, I zoomed in on her sunglasses and saw a dude's reflection. Not one of the girls. A whole entire man. So I did what any reasonable husband would do. Hired a lawyer, filed papers, and changed the locks before her flight landed. Here's how it went down. I'm, 34 male, a structural engineer for a mid-size firm in Denver. Decent money, stable career, own my house outright thanks to some smart investments in my 20s. Nothing flashy, just a comfortable 3-bedroom place in a good neighborhood with a 2-car garage and a finished basement I converted into a home gym. Been married to Nicole, 32 female, for 6 years. Met her through mutual friends at a barbecue. Dated for 2 years before getting married. She worked in pharmaceutical sales, traveled sometimes for conferences, made good commission, had her own career. We split bills proportionally based on income, kept separate accounts plus one joint account for household expenses. Modern marriage setup that worked fine for us. Life was solid. We had our routines, took vacations twice a year, hosted friends for dinner parties, did the whole suburban couple thing. No kids yet. We'd been talking about it, but kept pushing the timeline back. She wanted to hit certain career milestones first. I wanted to finish paying off the house. Then it was always, maybe next year. Looking back, that should have been a red flag. When someone keeps delaying major life decisions, they're usually waiting for something else. Or someone else. The setup. Nicole announced in February she was taking a girls' trip to Miami with her college friends. 4 days, long weekend, staying at some beachfront resort. The crew was supposedly her sorority sisters from University of Colorado. Amanda, Jess, and Kayla. I'd met them all at our wedding, seen them at various gatherings over the years. Seemed normal enough. The way she brought it up was casual, almost too casual. We were making dinner on a Tuesday. I was chopping vegetables for stir-fry while she scrolled through her phone at the kitchen island. So the girls and I are thinking about doing Miami in March. Long weekend. You cool with that? Sure, I said, not thinking much of it. When in March? Probably that second weekend, Thursday through Sunday. She kept her eyes on her phone while talking, which I registered but didn't flag as weird. Nicole was always on her phone for work. Sounds good. You deserve a break. Work's been brutal lately. She'd been complaining about her job more than usual. New sales targets, difficult doctors to deal with, corporate restructuring that made everything harder. I'd been supportive, told her to take time for herself when she needed it. Classic supportive husband move. Just need to recharge, she said, while booking the flights a few days later. Work's been crazy and I need some sun and girl time. Made sense. I'd done guys' trips with my buddies, so fair was fair. We'd gone to Vegas the previous year for Frank's bachelor party. 3 days of poker, sports betting, and too much buffet food. Nicole hadn't complained about that trip, so I wasn't about to complain about hers. I transferred my share of the household money for March early, so she could book everything without worrying about timing. Told her to have fun, be safe, send photos. She seemed excited, more animated than she'd been in weeks. I remember thinking it was good to see her happy again. The week before the trip, she went shopping for new clothes. Came home with multiple bags from Nordstrom. Sundresses, swimsuits, sandals, the works. Spent probably close to $1,000 based on the credit card alert I got. I didn't say anything because it was her money from her account, and she was going on vacation. People buy new stuff for trips. Totally normal. She also got her nails done, hair highlighted, some kind of spa treatment that left her skin glowing. Again, normal pre-vacation prep. I actually complimented how good she looked, told her Miami wouldn't know what hit them. She smiled but didn't quite meet my eyes. Should have noticed that. She left on a Thursday morning. I drove her to the airport, kissed her goodbye, told her I loved her. She was wearing yoga pants and an oversized sweater, hair in a messy bun, looking forward to the trip. Normal departure, nothing felt off. At the curb, she gave me a longer hug than usual. I'll miss you, she said into my shoulder. Miss you too. Have fun. Send me pictures of the beach. I will. Love you. Love you too. She grabbed her suitcase, a new one she'd bought specifically for this trip, bright pink so it would stand out on the luggage carousel, and headed into the terminal. I watched her walk away, pulling that pink suitcase, designer sunglasses already on even though it was barely 7 a.m. Then I drove to work, completely clueless about what was actually happening. That first day I got a few texts. Landed safely, hotel is gorgeous, weather is perfect. Standard trip updates with a selfie of her and the girls in the hotel lobby, all smiling and excited. Friday, more photos rolled in. Beach shots, poolside drinks, sunset pictures. All seemed fine. The photos showed Nicole and her friends having a good time, exactly what I expected from a girls' trip. Saturday morning, I was working on a project proposal in my home office when my phone buzzed with a new photo. Nicole and the girls at brunch, some trendy outdoor restaurant with palm trees and bright Florida sun. The caption, "Living our best lives." I zoomed in to see the food, because I'm always curious about restaurant quality. That's when I noticed something weird in Nicole's sunglasses. They were those big designer ones she'd bought last summer, oversized lenses that reflected like mirrors. In the reflection, behind the photographer, was definitely a man. Not just in the background of the scene, but close. Really close. Like standing right next to the photographer close. You could see his polo shirt, his watch, part of his face. He wasn't some random waiter or tourist in the background. He was part of their group. I stared at that photo for a solid 5 minutes. Then I went back through all the other pictures she'd sent, examined every single one with the kind of detail I usually reserve for structural blueprint reviews. Third photo from Friday, sunglasses again. Same guy's reflection. This time, you could see more of his face. Younger, maybe early 30s, athletic build, that typical Miami vacation look with the expensive sunglasses and styled hair. Another photo from the pool. Nicole's sunglasses were pushed up on her head, but in the background, barely visible in the corner of the frame, was that same polo shirt. The photographer had accidentally caught him. I grabbed my laptop and uploaded all the photos she'd sent. Used photo editing software to enhance the reflections, adjust contrast, zoom in without losing too much quality. 15 years of engineering work teaches you to pay attention to details, and I was seeing plenty of details I didn't like. By the time I finished my analysis, I had a pretty clear picture. There was a fifth person on this trip, a male fifth person, someone Nicole had very carefully avoided mentioning or showing directly in any photos. The girls were all tagged in her social media posts. Amanda, Jess, Kayla, all accounted for. But Mystery Man wasn't tagged anywhere, wasn't mentioned in any captions, didn't officially exist in the narrative of this trip. The investigation, I'm not the type to fly off the handle based on assumptions. I needed more information before making any moves. But I also wasn't about to confront Nicole while she was 1,500 miles away, where she could craft whatever story she wanted. First step, I checked our joint credit card account online. Nicole had her own cards, but we also had one shared card we used for joint expenses. I'd given her access to it for the trip in case of emergencies. Nothing unusual there. She'd used her personal cards for everything. Smart move on her part if she was trying to hide something. Next, I looked up the resort where they were staying. Called the front desk, explained I was trying to surprise my wife who was staying there. Could they tell me if there was a package I could send to the room? The person on the phone was helpful, asked for Nicole's last name, confirmed she was registered in room 847. Then, without me even asking, mentioned, "And that's under your reservation for 2 queen beds, correct?" 2 queen beds, for 4 women. That math didn't work. You'd need 3 beds minimum unless 2 people were sharing, which was possible, but why not just get a room with 3 beds or 2 rooms? Resort That Nice definitely had options. I thanked them and hung up. Another data point that didn't add up. Then I did something I'm not proud of, but desperate times and all that. I logged into Nicole's laptop. We both knew each other's passwords. Never been weird about privacy because we'd never needed to be. Found her email, started with her sent folder, looking for anything from the last month. Found the reservation confirmation. Room was booked for Nicole and guest. Not Nicole and Amanda and Jess and Kayla, just Nicole and guest. The reservation was made 6 weeks ago. Changed 2 weeks ago. Original reservation was for a king bed. New reservation, 2 queens. Dug deeper. Found email exchanges with Amanda from 3 weeks ago. Amanda asking if he was definitely coming. Nicole responding that yes, everything was set, and they'd all worked out the cover story. Cover story. Those words hit different when you're reading them in your wife's email. Kept searching. Found emails with someone named Brett. Started 4 months ago, casual at first. Work connection. He was a doctor. She'd met him through her pharmaceutical sales job. Their exchanges got progressively more familiar. Inside jokes. Late-night messages. Nothing explicitly romantic in text, but the vibe was unmistakable. Then, 2 months ago, Miami sounds perfect. Can't wait to finally get some real time together. Her response? I know. These quick lunches and stolen afternoons aren't enough anymore. 4 days of actually being together sounds like heaven. Stolen afternoons. My wife had been having stolen afternoons with this guy. I sat back in my chair, staring at the screen. The home office suddenly felt too small, too quiet. Our wedding photo was on the shelf behind the monitor. Nicole in her white dress, me in my tux, both of us smiling like we just won the life lottery. What a joke. I took screenshots of everything. Every email, every message, every receipt. Saved them to a secure cloud drive. Then cleared the browser history so she wouldn't know I'd been snooping. Not that it mattered at this point, but habits. My buddy Frank called right then, wanting to grab dinner. I told him I was busy with work. Couldn't face being social when my brain was processing the fact that my marriage was a lie. The plan. Saturday afternoon, I did what any person would do when discovering their spouse is on a romantic vacation, disguised as a girls' trip. I called a lawyer. Not just any lawyer, the best family law attorney in Denver, according to multiple online rankings. Left a message explaining I needed an emergency consultation Monday morning. Got a call back an hour later from the attorney herself, Leslie, saying she'd seen my message and the urgency. She could meet me Sunday afternoon at her office if I was serious. I was serious. Sunday at 2 p.m., I showed up at her office with my laptop, printed screenshots, and a timeline I'd created detailing every suspicious detail. Leslie was in her 50s, sharp eyes. The kind of person who'd seen every variation of infidelity and wasn't shocked by anything. She reviewed everything methodically, asked questions about our assets, how long we'd been married, whose name was on what. I'd done my homework, had all the documentation ready. House is in your name only, she confirmed. Bought it before we got married. Paid off 2 years ago with inheritance money from my grandfather. Kept completely separate from marital funds. Smart. Vehicles? Both titled in our own names. I drive a truck I bought 5 years ago. She has a sedan she bought 3 years ago. Both paid off. No joint ownership. Bank accounts. Separate accounts plus one joint for household bills. I can prove exact contributions to joint account. Never commingled our personal funds. Leslie nodded approvingly. You've made this easy. Colorado is an equitable distribution state. But since you kept everything properly separated and the house predates the marriage, you're in good shape. She explained the process. We could file immediately. No requirement to warn Nicole or attempt reconciliation first. Given the evidence of infidelity, we could push for a quick resolution. The photo evidence plus the emails would make it hard for her to claim anything other than what she legally deserved, which given our financial setup, wasn't much. Monday morning we file, Leslie said. Standard divorce petition citing irretrievable breakdown of marriage. We'll include the evidence for the record. Based on Colorado law and your asset separation, she's entitled to her personal property and whatever she can prove she contributed to joint assets. The house is yours, retirement accounts stay separate, and we'll split the joint account 50-50. What about telling her? You're not required to give advance notice. The sheriff will serve her with papers. It's official, documented, and protects you from any claims that you didn't follow proper procedure. She gets back Tuesday evening. Perfect. We'll have her served Wednesday morning at her workplace. Public, professional, and she can't claim she didn't receive them. I signed the retainer agreement and wrote a check. Felt surreal, paying money to end my marriage while my wife was on a beach somewhere with another man. Sunday evening, I went home and started the next phase, preparation. I wasn't going to be the guy who got blindsided in his own house. First, change the locks. The house was mine, bought and paid for before marriage, so I had every legal right. Hired a locksmith who could come Monday morning. New deadbolts, new knob locks, new garage door codes. I kept the old keys as evidence of the change, per Leslie's suggestion. Second, documented everything in the house. Walked through every room with my phone, taking video and photos. Time-stamped everything. Showed what was there before Nicole came back, so she couldn't later claim I'd hidden or sold her belongings. Third, packed her stuff. Not vindictively, carefully. Separated everything that was clearly hers from anything that was mine or ours. Her clothes, her toiletries, her books, her decorations. All of it went into boxes and suitcases, neatly organized and labeled. Took photos of the packing process, showing I was treating her property with respect. I worked through Sunday night into Monday morning. By the time the locksmith arrived at 8 a.m., I had 23 boxes and 4 suitcases stacked in the garage. Everything she owned ready to go. The locksmith, an older guy named Ray, took one look at the boxes and gave me a knowing nod. Been there, brother. You want me to rush this? Just do it right. I've got time. While Ray worked on the locks, I went through the house one more time. Removed Nicole's name from everything we'd had jointly. Streaming services, utility accounts where she was listed as secondary, gym membership, all legitimate changes, all documented. Found her spare set of house keys in the kitchen drawer where she always kept them. Added those to the evidence bag. By noon Monday, my house was secure. New locks, her belongings packed, and divorce papers filed. Leslie texted confirming the filing went through and process server was scheduled for Wednesday morning at Nicole's office. Monday afternoon, I went to work like normal. Had a project deadline approaching, needed to focus. My coworkers had no idea that my personal life had just detonated. Kept it professional, kept it together. The return Tuesday evening, Nicole's flight was due to land at 7:30 p.m. I was at home, eating takeout and watching a game, when my phone buzzed with a text. Just landed. I missed you so much. Can't wait to see you. The lies came so easily to her. I didn't respond. Just stared at that message, at those emojis, at the fake enthusiasm. 4 days with another man and she was texting me like nothing happened. An hour later, getting an Uber, should be home in 30. Want me to grab food? I didn't respond to that either. Sat there on my couch, in my house, waiting. I'd spent the weekend preparing for this moment. Everything was ready. I felt oddly calm, like an athlete before a big game. Nervous energy but focused. Frank had texted earlier asking if I wanted backup. I'd declined. This was something I needed to handle alone. Besides, Nicole would play the victim better if there was an audience. Better to keep it simple. 8:45 p.m., I heard a car pull up outside. Watched through the window as Nicole got out, dragging her suitcase up the walkway. She looked tan, relaxed, happy. The picture of someone who'd just had a great vacation. Her hair was beach wavy. She was wearing a sundress I'd never seen before. Probably bought with Brett. She was smiling at something on her phone as she walked. The audacity of it. She actually looked happy. Not guilty, not worried, just genuinely pleased with herself. She reached the front door. I heard her keys jingle, then the sound of her trying to fit the key in the lock. Confusion. More jangling. The key wouldn't work because it didn't fit the new lock. Knock, knock, knock. Babe, are you home? My key isn't working. I let her knock a few more times. Let her confusion build. Then opened the door but left the security chain latched. Her face appeared in the gap, annoyed at first, then concerned when she saw my expression. Hey, how was your trip? She looked confused. It was great, but why isn't my key working? Can you let me in? Actually, no. What? What are you talking about? She tried to push the door, but the chain held. This isn't funny. Let me in. I'm tired. I held up my phone, showing her the zoomed-in photo of her sunglasses with Brett's reflection clearly visible. Just held it there, letting her see it. Watching her face as realization hit. Interesting travel companion you had there. Brett, right? The doctor. Her face went white. Actually white, like all the Florida tan drained away instantly. Her mouth opened, closed, opened again. No words came out. I can explain. I'm sure you can. You'll have plenty of time to explain things to your lawyer. Mine's already filed the papers. You're getting served Wednesday. You can't be serious. Babe, this is a misunderstanding. The emails weren't a misunderstanding. The reservation for 2 wasn't a misunderstanding. The 4 months of stolen afternoons weren't a misunderstanding. The hotel room 30 minutes from our house wasn't a misunderstanding. Her face went from white to red. You went through my computer? That's illegal. We share passwords. Nothing illegal about accessing information you've given me permission to access. She grabbed the door like she could force it open through sheer will. Let me in! This is my house too. Actually, it's not. House is in my name. Bought before we got married. Paid off with my separate funds. You'll get served Wednesday with the full petition, but here's the summary. You get your personal property and your fair share of the joint account. That's it. You can't do this. You can't just lock me out. I have rights. You have the rights Colorado law gives you, which doesn't include my house or my property. Your stuff is packed in the garage. All of it. Carefully, respectfully, with photos documenting everything. You can take it now or come back for it tomorrow. Your choice. I could see her brain working, cycling through options, trying to figure out which angle to take. She went with anger first. This is insane. I went on a trip with my friends. So what if Brett came along? We're all adults. It doesn't mean anything. Save it for the lawyers. We were just hanging out. Nothing happened. I showed her another screenshot on my phone. The email where she told Brett that stolen afternoons weren't enough anymore. Her face crumpled. Where am I supposed to go? Amanda's? Jess's? Kayla's? Or hey, Brett's place. I'm sure he'd love to have you. You two seemed pretty cozy in all those photos. She started crying, but it felt performative. The tears didn't match the calculation in her eyes. She was crying because she got caught, not because she felt bad. Please, let's talk about this. We can work through this. Every marriage has rough patches. Rough patches don't involve booking romantic getaways with other men. Rough patches don't involve 4 months of secret meetings. Rough patches don't involve cover stories and coordinated lies with your friends. You went through my email? That's a violation of privacy? We shared passwords. And it's real rich hearing about violations from someone who violated marriage vows. She shifted tactics again, going for pleading. Wiped her eyes, softened her voice, tried to look vulnerable. The calculated nature of it was almost impressive. I made a mistake. I was confused. Work was stressful and Brett was there and I don't even know how it happened. But I love you. We can get through this. No, we can't. You're being cruel. I'm being practical. You made choices. Now you deal with consequences. I'm your wife. Not for long. 91 days minimum in Colorado. Should be finalized by June. She stared at me like I was speaking a foreign language. You already know the timeline? You've been planning this? Since Saturday, when I found out about your little vacation arrangement. But you acted normal. You drove me to the airport. You told me you loved me. Yeah, well, you told me you loved me while planning a vacation with another man. Guess we're both good actors. That seemed to break something in her. The manipulative crying stopped. The victim act dropped. Pure rage took over. You know what? Fine. You want to throw away 6 years over one little thing? Be my guest. You were boring anyway. Brett is twice the man you'll ever be. Then you should be thrilled about this divorce. Now you can be with him full time without sneaking around. I will. And you'll regret this. You'll realize what you lost. I'm losing a cheating wife who thinks 4 months of deception is one little thing. I'll manage. I closed the door, latched it, and walked away. She pounded on it for another 5 minutes, cycling through anger, bargaining, and more crying. Eventually, I heard her on the phone, calling someone, voice choked with tears as she explained that I'd lost my mind and locked her out. Through the window, I watched her call an Uber, load some of her boxes into it, and leave. The house was quiet again. Peaceful even. I slept better that night than I had in months. The aftermath. Wednesday morning, the process server did his job. I got a text from Leslie confirming Nicole had been served at her office at 10:15 a.m. Professional, public, and properly documented. My phone started blowing up around 10:30. Nicole called 17 times. Left voicemails ranging from angry to desperate to accusatory. Sent texts that went from, "How could you?" to, "Please let's talk," to, "You'll regret this." I didn't respond to any of it. Leslie had been clear. No direct communication. Everything goes through attorneys now. Nicole's friends started reaching out too. Amanda sent a long text about how I was overreacting, and Nicole made one mistake, and I needed to be the bigger person. I replied once, "She booked a romantic vacation with another man and lied about it for months. That's not one mistake. That's a pattern. Don't contact me again." Jess tried calling. I let it go to voicemail. She left a message about how relationships are complicated, and Nicole really did love me, and everyone deserves a second chance. Nope. Kayla, to her credit, sent a different kind of message. I didn't know about Brett until we got there. I'm sorry. You didn't deserve this. I appreciated the honesty. The best message came from Frank, my buddy who'd wanted to grab dinner that Saturday. I'd filled him in Sunday night after leaving the lawyer's office. His response Wednesday, "Beer tonight? I'll bring the good stuff and terrible jokes. You've earned both." Frank showed up at 6 p.m. with a 6-pack of craft IPAs and started in immediately. "So your wife went to Miami with Dr. McDreamy and forgot that phones have cameras. That's like bank robber level stupidity." Pretty much. Did she really think you wouldn't notice a dude in the reflection? Apparently. Frank opened drinks. You know what's wild? She could have just told you she wanted a divorce. Adults do that. But no, she had to have her fun and keep you as backup. That's cold. That's why we're here. To your freedom, man. And to sunglasses that work like surveillance equipment. We spent the evening watching basketball and not talking about Nicole. Sometimes that's exactly what you need. A friend who knows when to shut up and just be there. The legal process. The divorce moved faster than expected. Colorado requires 91 days minimum between filing and finalization. But our case was straightforward. No kids, clear asset separation, and evidence that made Nicole's position weak. Nicole hired an attorney who tried to claim she deserved half the house because she'd contributed to maintaining it during our marriage. Leslie shut that down fast with proof that the house was my separate property, acquired before marriage, paid off with inherited funds that never touched marital assets. They tried to claim she deserved spousal support. Leslie showed that Nicole made comparable income to mine in pharmaceutical sales, sometimes more when commission was good. No grounds for support. They tried to claim emotional distress. Leslie pointed out that Nicole had filed no complaints about the marriage before getting caught in infidelity. Hard to claim distress while planning secret vacations. Every angle they tried, Leslie had documentation to counter it. I'd kept clean records, maintained separation of assets, and now had proof of Nicole's affair. Colorado might be a no-fault state, but judges aren't blind to bad behavior. Nicole tried reaching out directly a few times despite her lawyer probably telling her not to. Showed up at my work once. Building security escorted her out. Sent letters to my house that I forwarded unopened to Leslie. One Saturday morning about 3 weeks after filing, I was working in my garage when Nicole pulled up. She looked rough. Weight loss, dark circles, hair not styled like she usually kept it. Please, can we just talk? 5 minutes? No, everything goes through lawyers. I can't afford my lawyer anymore. Do you know what this is costing me? Not my problem. I lost everything. My friends won't talk to me after they found out I lied. Brett dumped me, said I was too messy. My parents are ashamed. I'm staying in an extended stay hotel. You made choices. These are consequences. I made a mistake. One mistake. Haven't you ever done something stupid? I married someone who thought 4 months of deception was one mistake. That was pretty stupid. I'm fixing that now. You're enjoying this. I'm surviving this. There's a difference. She stood there for another minute, looking like she wanted to say more, then got back in her car and left. I went back to organizing my tools. The final settlement. 91 days after filing, the divorce was finalized. The settlement was exactly what Leslie predicted. I kept the house, my truck, my personal accounts, and my retirement funds. Nicole kept her car, her personal accounts, and her retirement. We split the joint account 50-50, about $8,000 each. She got her personal property, all of which I'd carefully packed and stored. No alimony, no support, no ongoing obligations. Clean break. The judge signed the decree on a Tuesday. By Wednesday afternoon, I was legally single. Nicole had remarried her maiden name, taken her belongings from storage, and essentially vanished from my life. Cost me about $12,000 in legal fees total. Worth every penny for the peace of mind and clean exit. Moving forward. 6 months after the divorce finalized, my life barely resembled the one I'd had with Nicole, and that was perfect. First major change, I sold the house. Too many memories, too much history. Used the proceeds to buy a smaller place closer to my office. A modern townhouse with a 2-car garage and a rooftop deck. Fresh start in a space that had zero connection to my failed marriage. The townhouse was everything the old house wasn't. Clean lines, modern finishes, no emotional baggage attached to any corner of it. I furnished it exactly how I wanted. Comfortable, but minimalist. No more compromises about throw pillows or accent walls or whatever design trend Nicole was obsessed with that month. Set up the second bedroom as a proper home office with a standing desk, dual monitors, and a whiteboard for sketching out engineering problems. The garage became my workshop space. Tools organized the way I like them. Workbench at the perfect height. Room to actually work on projects without tripping over Nicole's seasonal decorations that she'd insist on storing there. The rooftop deck became my favorite spot. Summer evenings, I'd sit up there with a cold drink, watching the sunset over the mountains, and just appreciate the silence. No drama, no walking on eggshells, no wondering what mood Nicole would be in when she got home. Work got better too. Threw myself into projects. Took on leadership roles I'd been avoiding. Got promoted to senior engineer with a nice salary bump. Turned out removing relationship drama freed up mental energy for career advancement. The promotion came 4 months after the divorce finalized. My manager called me into his office, and I figured I was getting assigned another project. Instead, he offered me the senior position I'd been working toward for years. 20% salary increase, leadership of a small team, influence on company direction. You've been on fire lately, he said. Whatever's happening in your personal life, it's showing up in your work quality. I didn't tell him about the divorce. Just thanked him and accepted the position. But he was right. Removing Nicole's constant drama had unlocked a level of focus I'd forgotten I was capable of. Started hitting the gym consistently, lost the relationship weight I'd gained, got back into rock climbing. Something I'd done in my 20s but stopped because Nicole thought it was too dangerous. Rediscovered hobbies I'd abandoned to accommodate her preferences. The climbing gym became part of my routine. Tuesday and Thursday evenings, Sunday mornings. Started with easier routes, working my way back up to the difficulty levels I'd been at before marriage. My hands remembered the movements even if my muscles needed reconditioning. Met people there too. Climbers are a different breed. Focused, supportive, more interested in conquering routes than in relationship drama. Made some good friends, including a couple who'd been married 15 years and actually seemed to like each other. Proof that good relationships existed, I just hadn't been in one. Frank and I started a weekly poker night with some guys from work. Nothing serious, just cards and conversation. One of the guys, David, had gone through a divorce 3 years earlier. His advice: first year is rough. Second year, you remember who you are. Third year, you're glad it happened. The poker nights were more valuable than the small stakes we played for. David's perspective on divorce helped me process things. He'd been married 11 years, thought everything was fine. Came home one day to his wife saying she'd found herself and needed to leave. No affair, no big fight, just decided marriage wasn't for her. Took me a year to stop being angry, he told me one night after everyone else had left. Another year to remember I existed before her. Now I'm dating someone who actually appreciates me. Best thing that ever happened was her leaving. I thought about that a lot. Nicole leaving wasn't the tragedy it felt like in the moment. It was freedom. I was tracking ahead of schedule on David's timeline. Ran into Nicole once, about 8 months after the divorce. She was at a restaurant with some guy looking happy enough. We made eye contact. She looked away quickly. No acknowledgement, no drama. Just two strangers who used to be married. The guy she was with looked younger, dressed like he was trying too hard. Brett must not have worked out after all. Not my problem. I was there with Frank and some work colleagues, celebrating a successful project completion. We just secured a major contract that would keep our team busy for 2 years. Frank asked if it bothered me. Honest answer, no. Whatever Nicole did with her life now was none of my business. She'd made her choices, I'd made mine, and we were both living with the results. Not even a little bit? Frank pressed. You were married to her for 6 years. 6 years I'll never get back. But I learned from it. Now I know what I don't want. That's some Zen master wisdom right there. More like expensive life lesson wisdom. 12 grand in legal fees buys a lot of clarity. 2 years after the divorce, I'm in my townhouse making coffee on a Saturday morning when my phone buzzes. Unknown number, but I'm expecting a work call, so I answer. Hello? Hi, this is Nicole. I considered hanging up. Decided to hear her out instead, mostly out of curiosity. What do you want? I wanted to apologize. I know it's been a long time and you've probably moved on, but I needed to say, I'm sorry for everything. Okay. I was selfish and stupid. I threw away a good marriage for something that meant nothing. Brett was awful, in case you're wondering. Controlling, possessive, jealous. Made me realize what I'd lost. That's unfortunate. I guess I'm calling because I wanted you to know that you were right. About everything. The way you handled it was smart. I was the problem, not you. I know. Silence on the line. She'd probably expected more engagement. Are you happy? She asked. Very. Good, that's good. You deserve that. Was there anything else? No. Just wanted to apologize. And to say I hope you found someone better than me. I did. Me without you. I hung up before she could respond. Blocked the number. That chapter was done. No reason to leave it even slightly open. Frank asked about it at poker that night. I told him Nicole had called to apologize. What did you say? Not much. She wanted absolution. I gave her a busy signal. David, the guy who'd been divorced 3 years, laughed. That's the right move. They always come back around eventually, wanting forgiveness to clear their conscience. Not your job to provide it. Exactly. The thing about moving on is it's not about forgiving the person who wronged you or forgetting what happened. It's about building a life so good that their presence becomes irrelevant. Their apology becomes unnecessary. Their drama becomes background noise you don't even hear anymore. I built that life. The townhouse, the career, the friends, the hobbies, the peace of mind. None of it required Nicole's participation or approval. Last I heard through the social media grapevine, Nicole was engaged again. Different guy, same pattern probably. Not my circus, not my monkeys. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that subscribe button. It really helps the channel and help us bring you more and better stories. Thanks.